they're new faces in the Capitol. They are not new faces necessarily to Up North News Radio, because we talked to them as candidates or in other capacities. For Christian Phelps, it was his work with public education with the Wisconsin Public Education Network. And let me see, for State Senator Kristin Dassler-Alfheim, as Tony writes in from Ashland, State Senator Alfheim, formerly of Rational Revolution fame? Yeah, it would be that one. Senator, Representative, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, everybody. Great to be on.
How are you doing, Christian?
Great to see you.
Yeah, you as well. Oh, my goodness, look at that. We got to fix Kristin's title over here. We still got her listed as a candidate. I'll take care of that. Kristin, what's it been like so far as a new legislator?
My favorite words are outstanding and astounding. Outstanding in the amount of information you get to gather. I mean, truly, I try to keep up on things, but I don't think people realize how little we actually know about the full issues. And so I enjoy gathering the rest of the story, and astounding as to how much manufactured dysfunction exists and how most people understand that it's there and wish that it weren't. And still here we are.
But the learning curve is somewhat steep, but it's also exciting, isn't it?
It is. I mean, truly, every day. I don't know that people understand how our schedules look. It is every day. I'm down here 2 nights a week, and every hour on the hour, in some cases every 15 minutes, there is someone coming in to teach me about something, whether it's the how Wisconsin works, energy, DNR, education, or it's an issue that's important to them, kids in robotics. It is a ridiculously full calendar of learning, which I find fascinating, and I love it, and I love the people.
Oh gosh, I loved it so much. But again, some of us were just nerds that way, and you just had a whole bunch of new stuff to soak up. Christian, you work in education, so you're used to new classes and everything. What was your impression being a new legislator?
Yeah, I have a very similar impression, and I think that the feeling that I've had is just this sort of sense of responsibility that sets in, because you're not taking new classes in a theoretical way. I mean, you allude to education there. You're taking in a lot of information, like the senator said, and all of it equally important. But it's never really lost on you, and maybe more so when you're brand new, that this information is being delivered to you because people are asking for you to improve their lives in Wisconsin, and that the impact of what you do with the information that you're taking in, and how you take it forward in your work is actually going to have an impact. And so that sense of responsibility is kind of that's definitely the number one feeling so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, and while you want to make an impact, and while you want to serve, you knew long before taking office that other people, use this office for power trips, and to rule, and for ideological sentiments that are not in line with the mainstream of Wisconsin values. To that end, I noticed quite happily the press release from Senator Mark Spreitzer noting that the legislature's LGBTQ caucus kicked off its season with more than double the membership of the previous legislative session. And Representative Phelps, you are a vice chair of the committee, and Senator Alfheim is a member of that committee as well. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means, that the LGBTQ caucus is the size that it is, and what it might mean going forward in the legislature? Senator, we'll start with you.
Well, first, again, DEI, right? It's the battle that's going on. And I will tell you that it was amazing to me during the campaign, and now that I'm here, how many messages I get from young people, college kids, high school kids, parents of LGBT and trans, that say, thank you for seeing us. Thank you for helping us to just be part of this community without scrutiny. It's amazing. DEI is all about helping people find familiarity and find comfort in becoming themselves, and that allows them to go on and be better and bigger versions for our community as a whole. So the idea that there's such an attack against it is disappointing. That room being full of legislators willing to stand up and say, come on, we do have issues in this country. These kids are not the ones causing that. So it's disheartening that it's necessary, and it's heartwarming that we're all there, and the people out there that are need us to step up and stand in the way of chaos, we're there for them, and they see it, and it means something to them.
So what does it mean, Christian, about one of the first bills? And we were talking about this last hour with Joe Zepecki, and I intentionally put a rather mocking tone on it. The bill that was circulated saying, oh, you guys, there's just so many flags now. There's just so many holidays that why don't we not put some of these other flags up anymore? Knowing full well they're targeting the pride flag. And yet, again, that's one of the first bills introduced. You're a brand new legislator. What was your reaction?
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a connectivity issue, but the question is about the introduction of the bill around which
correct.
Flags are allowed. Yes,
that's right. Yep.
My impression of it is that we aren't surprised because, unfortunately, so far this session, at least on the Assembly side, we've seen a lot of the behavior from the majority Republican Party that actually looks exactly the same way as how they were behaving before. We got fairer maps, which does not reflect the level of democracy that Wisconsin voters have asked from us. And that kind of behavior is introducing bills that I consider to be distractions from the agenda that they're really trying to push, which, as you know, from my background, includes things like undermining public schools and not helping the working and middle classes of Wisconsin in a meaningful way. But the real problem, from my perspective and from the LGBTQ caucus's perspective, is that simply introducing bills like this sends a harmful message, particularly to adolescents and young people who are coming to know their identities. And so we find it very important as this larger caucus with 12 members right now, that Kristin and I are both a part of, to show those young people that there are legislators in the Capitol that are actually fighting for them, that we are not going to let messages that say your identity and pride in your identity is now going to be policed by legislators. We want to put forward a counter message to that says that young people who are LGBTQ or might be LGBTQ and are trying to get, or any identity and getting to know themselves, also have fighters and allies in that building.
So along with the allies and along with plain defense, there will also be, as the statement notes from the caucus, introducing visionary legislation that will move our state forward. And that's where I want to pivot to the state budget here, because, there are things that you're going to want to get done. And Governor Evers is going to spell that out more directly in 2 weeks as part of his state budget address. But we heard the State of the State address, Senator. And so give me your impression of what things you heard from the governor, things that you would really like to see accomplished. I know they'd be an uphill fight, but maybe there are some things where bipartisanship could put some new ideas in the budget.
Yeah, I mean, there is bipartisanship, and oftentimes our Republican friends will brag about it. The reality is that the only bipartisanship comes on bills that are authored by Republicans, because our bills don't even get a hearing. And that's the reality. So what I love about what the governor said is it's the year of the kid. I mean, come on. Who can argue with it's the year of the kid? Can we make sure they're fed, they're educated, they're healthy, and they're housed? If we do that, we actually will give these kids a chance to find success in our communities, which is what we want. It is both a social and a fiscal issue to give children, all children, the opportunity to find success in life. And if we don't, if we continue to fail at that, which we are, we continue to fail at that, we will continue to have social issues beyond that, which are costing us far more money. So I believe in the governor's vision. I now get to spend time with the governor. He is a good, humble man who is just trying to do good, who desperately wants the legislature to work together, which I believe the body does want to work together. I believe there are Republicans that want to work together. But there are dials that have been turned by the majority that aren't allowing it to happen. Unless something's going to be unanimous on the floor, they're not going to bring it to the floor. We have bills We have bills out there. I've talked to both sides of the organization, Republicans and Democrats, that probably 85% of the body, and I'm talking red, blue, House and Senate, all agree we should pass, and the bill will not come to the floor because that's the tools that have been, again, manufactured by the leadership to keep it from happening. Even Republicans are getting mad. Senator Phelps made a statement the other day. I think that was impressive. I actually went to a conservative legislative breakfast the other day. I was the one Democrat. There were 4 Republicans, and this is a deep red group coalition. And 2 of the 4 points that they had on slides to answer questions, I actually got to agree with because they're mad that their issues are not getting a chance on the floor. Now, their issues are not something I enjoy. They are deep right issues, but they're mad at their own leadership because, in essence, democracy is not working. We are supposed to be able to talk about the issues of the people and vote on them, and then the majority will take us. Not preconditioned, it's going to pass or else we won't talk about it.
Kristin, tell us, you're on the phone now, and thanks for sticking with us and being patient, but tell us some of your priorities for the budget and beyond for this session.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. So I'm actually already in Madison today, and because we have our first Assembly Education Committee hearing today. And I was hearing over and over in an Assembly district that includes a very good chunk of the city of Eau Claire and a very good chunk of the rural area around Eau Claire, that public education funding was probably one of the most unifying priorities across political identities and both urban and rural residents of the 93rd. And so I'm hoping that we can use this session to really hone in on what I believe is the most responsible definition of bipartisanship, which is what has bipartisan support in our actual communities, because I find that the divide is much broader and much deeper inside the Capitol than it is in our actual districts. And when school districts like Osseo Fairchild that are very rural in my district and Menominee and Eau Claire have all had to go to operating referenda in the last year, that tells voters that they are in an untenable situation and they are looking for legislators that are going to invest state resources in the next generation so that they can keep their property taxes down and set everybody up for success moving forward. So I want to not only work on a budget that does that, but to work on a narrative that puts forward a real solution, because we haven't really heard one from the Capitol in so long.
State Assembly Representative Kristin Phelps from Eau Claire, Senator Kristin Dassler-Alfheim from Appleton. Thank you both very much. Appreciate your time. I know you're very busy learning the ropes and everything, but we really like getting to know what your priorities are and looking forward to checking in with you throughout the session.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. Kristin, thank you as well. You guys have a great day. Thanks for coming in today.